Hello, beloved. My name is Anna Bazarne. I'm the founder and formulator of Maitri Verde. And today I want to talk to you about ancestors, ancestral healing, and so called transgenerational trauma. And we will touch a little bit about the shadow, and I will explain more why I call the ancestral healing slash shadow kit the way I did. Because this both types of work are interrelated in a way. So let's begin with the ancestors. And our ancestors and our bloodline are so very important. And I recently bumped into interesting mathematics and I want to share this with you. Can you imagine that for you to be born from 12 previous generations, you needed 4,094 ancestors in the past 400 years? Impressive, isn't it? And now imagine for a moment how many struggles and battles your ancestors had to go through for you to exist today. How many love stories, heartbreaks, betrayals happened in this 400 years for them? How many losses and sorrow, unprocessed grief and anger? How many buried skeletons that never saw light and because it was bringing shame on the family because of the taboos and the certain regulations of the society, of the religion at the times they've been living on. So if you think that it's all past, you are wrong, because all your ancestors live inside of you through the mitochondrial DNA that you inherited through your mother. They live in us in our cellular memory, and residues of their lives can form the so-called miasms in our subtle bodies. Trauma can leave a chemical mark on a person's genes, which can then pass down to future generations, and scientists proved now. This mark doesn't cause a genetic mutation, but it does alter the mechanism by which the gene is expressed. So this alteration is not genetic, but it's so-called epigenetic. And the word miasm means a cloud or a fog in the being in your etheric body. And the term was introduced by Samuel Hahnemann. He introduced this theory in his The Chronic Diseases from 1828. It means that miasms can be expanded and seen as primary defect, a root cause, a shadow, a fragment, or an internalized relic of an actual disease passed down the genetic line. As a vaccine effect, a predisposition towards a predictable pattern of certain diseases and disorders within a family, or sometimes within a race or the whole human race, or as a defect in the vital force and the expression and the flow of the chi in the body. This is a form of trauma from our ancestors, meaning that younger generations inherit trauma from older generations. That's why we call it transgenerational trauma, and it is frequently experienced by marginalized people with ancestry that had experienced violence and discrimination based on their racial, religious, or cultural identities. Inherited trauma has also been present in war veteran family. And the American Psychological Association noted that fact. And working seriously on ancestral healing and the transgenerational traumas requires dedication, patience, and receptivity. The aim is for us to identify, transform, and integrate these passed down traumas, to stop being hardwired and operate in us an unconscious level. By working on ancestral trauma now, we choose not to pass it to the next generation, but also to stop a vicious cycle of that trauma playing in your life, playing on repeat through your subconscious mind. And this is where ancestral healing and shadow work come hand in hand, because both are like broken records playing in the background and spoiling our life, causing various limiting beliefs, limitations that are binding us and preventing our most beautiful self-expression, because we somehow don't feel safe, or there is a certain fear that is ingrained in us that prevent us from being bold and brave and speaking for ourselves, because our ancestral experience was so traumatic that they still live in us and say, no, stay small, stay quiet, lay down, because sometimes their life was depending on such behavior. But the thing is that now it is not. And we need to understand that certain expressions such as anxiety, depression, fear of the unknown, excessive hoarding and greed sometimes, and the fear of hunger, of poverty, a fear of losing everything, multiple expressions, they are often triggered in us, in our genetic material, in our cellular memory, and in our unconscious mind by these ancestral traumas. So overall, ancestral trauma, just as shadow work, is a process. It won't happen overnight, and it requires 4 different stages and, I would say, facets of this deep work that you're going to do. First is research and analytical work. Second is emotional and trauma work. Third is shadow work and releasing the cellular memories. And fourth, which I call and express here because I am a shamanic practitioner, is shamanic healing through dream work, through connecting to ancestors. So this 4th stage require open mind, open heart, and go back to understanding there are other healing modalities besides psychotherapy and other scientific methods that help us work with trauma. So that's why I put together a kit that I called Shadow and Ancestral Healing Kit that I want to talk about with you today. So the first stages of researching and analytical work, emotional and trauma work, and shadow work and releasing cellular memories can be done with the help of the plant remedies, which is my absolute love and passion in this lifetime. So I put together a shadow flower elixir that that you take as you prepare yourself to do the ancestral healing work. Then you do the first stage as you begin taking shadow. You start researching and mapping out your family. And I'm going to record a different video that guides you through this first stage, which is mapping out and doing a research about your family line. But in a few words, first thing that you do is you understand where you come from. And you put yourself in the center, and then above you put your father and mother, and then their father and mother, your grandparents. Do it at least the past few generations, if you know your story and your history, your bloodline. And there you write down all the events, all the attributes, everything you know about them. And then as you go deeper and you research further, you try to understand which events, you try to recreate their lives and imagine what sort of trauma, what sort of life events happened to them, and how you can describe them briefly. Did they have any addictions? Did they have any, mental issues? Have they been institutionalized? Were there any suicides? Were there any terminal diseases? So this is the preliminary stage. And at that point, you start seeing some correlations, and you might be shocked how many of the same patterns you will start noticing, and see if you can notice any of the expressions in your own life. And also think about these expressions or lifetime events metaphorically too. What does it mean? What does it mean to relocate to another country? What is that for them? and what did they have to sacrifice, or what were their hopes and expectations, and what were the consequences of what they did, and how this could, for example, limit you in terms of what you think you are capable of or what you allowed to do in the world. So why I love working with flower essences for such deep work is because a lot of this information is hidden from our consciousness, conscious awareness in the unconscious mind. So those correlations, those patterns, they pop up in our life, but we don't really see them often, or sometimes we cannot connect the dots and understand where they come from. That's why I love working with flower essences, because they have this incredible ability to work with your unconscious and allow you to be your own seer, observer. But that requires quiet time, listening, and determination. So when you start mapping out and doing the research for your family, you also need some time to sit down and understand what this map actually means. And continuing taking the essences, you can continue working with the next stage and proceed to actually, as you reveal the hidden information, you proceed to reprocessing this emotional, reprocessing trauma, sometimes expressed in your life as this old pattern from ancestors, but also go through the grieving process for them and understand like what needs to be released. And yeah, like part of the work is actually emotional release and feeling that fear, that horror, that loss that our ancestors may be experiencing, and not even being able to express it because it was dangerous. And so this is the flower essence of shadow, that I call it shadow, but it's absolutely perfect for the work with ancestral healing for the reasons I just described. The second part of the kit is the shadow, or shadow also, aromatherapy blend. And you know that I specialize in psychological or so-called emotional aromatherapy. That means that I appreciate what the essential oils do to us on physical level, which is important. But I also see what they can do in terms of working on our emotions and working on our unconscious, and how they can help us reprocess this old trauma, these old stories that need to be rewritten. They give us a chance to create your new story, like blank slate. No pain from the past, no trauma from the past. And the way I blended shadow is exactly this way. So we need to calm our body and mind in order to receive information from our unconscious mind. That's why meditation and breath work is so important, because it shifts you from being stressed out and being focused on your everyday life and your to-do list and what you have to do. Blah, 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 blah. You are in a relaxed state. Some essential oils like frankincense, they even slow down your breathing, and the heart rate, allowing you to really calm down, be grounded. Because part of the deal of releasing this trauma to our awareness is a sense of safety and being grounded and safe. Because most of these traumatic patterns had been given to us to protect us in our lives by the experience of our ancestors being in danger, in grave danger sometimes, going through survival, like fighting for survival on many levels. It's like first level of Maslow's pyramid, survival. And as long as we ourselves are not feeling safe, feeling anxious about our work, our future, our kids, we turn on this extra effect of turning on these memories that from our ancestors. That's how it is. That's what you need to do in order to survive. And sometimes those patterns are just not even valid for 21st century that we live in, and we don't notice this. So for us to start again, to start connecting with the stories of the ancestors, their survival mechanisms and the patterns that they passed on to us, we need to calm and allow this sense of security to guide us into unconscious. So guiding to unconscious mind is also something that essential oils are capable of. And this is a phenomenal opportunity that when you inhale essential oils, they go directly into your brain and from to your limbic system, bypassing your cortex, your intellectual mind that usually blocks us from accessing the trauma, accessing the unconscious mind. So essential oils, they just do their work because they have the way around of our protective mechanisms that don't want to erase that old history, those old patterns. They think that it's important for our safety, and it's not. And when we inhale the oil, as I said, in the first stage comes just surrender, relaxation, and ability to just being open-hearted and open-minded. In the second kind of stage, what essential oils do is that they go into your unconscious. They trigger amygdala, your gland responsible for keeping the emotional response to certain traumatic experiences. Also, some oils are capable of literally just shaking out your cells and have access to the DNA code, and we can reprogram and erase the cellular memory. And the scientists had proved that as well. It's super powerful. And then on the next level, we also work with oils in the symphony that I called shadow, that help you to reprocess what is surfacing up, this knowledge, emotionally. Sometimes, I told you, sometimes it's horror and grief from the loss or whatever happened. Sometimes it's fear and absolute shock if people were witnessing deaths of their beloveds. They lost all their families at war, or they were starving because of the economical crisis or the genocides. So however those memories are related to emotions, essential oils will help you to go through this process of leaving that emotion associated with that memory, but also say, you know what, I'm very sorry it happened to you. And talk to your ancestors because they can hear you and saying, I'm sorry it happened to you. I grieve for you. I value you. I value your experience. But this is my life now, and from my own free will, I choose not to relive this trauma, these old stories anymore. I have my new life now. We are living in the 21st century. I will be fine. I will find my ways to go through whatever is surfacing up. So this is sort of work. And again, as I said, it's not happening overnight. That's why it's a kit. And you work on it at least a month or longer. And then you add other healing modalities. You can bring your oils to psychologists. You can bring it to like energy worker. And there are different incredible modalities of like cutting cords from the past or soul retrieval techniques and working and ancestral healing when you do guided journeys and you talk to your ancestors, because we are all connected on the spiritual level, on the level of spirits, so you have access to their world, so you can help them and help them like release what needs to release and stop that to affecting your life in 21st century. And also by releasing these old stories, you stop passing it down to your children, but you also can stop certain genetic expressions of certain diseases for yourself in this lifetime as well. That's why I want to pass this information to you, and I hope that you will start thinking of how powerful this practice is, and you will gain the interest to research more and maybe start the ancestral healing for yourself. or for your children. And one last remedy in the kit that is very important is energy shield. And I need to tell you, I put together two versions of the shadow kit. One is large. So the large kit has larger 10 milliliter oil and the larger energy shield. And mini kit, I call it mini kit. It's more like a travel one. And also, if you're not sure how you're gonna deal with essential oils and just want to try, you can get the mini kit with the smaller energy shield and smaller shadow. Because as I said, most of the work with essential oil happens through your nose. It's highly beneficial to put essential oils on your body because we allow the essential oils to go into your organs and tissues and work more on the cellular memory. But also, it's highly recommended to mostly inhale them. So you can definitely start with a little mini kit. So why did I include Energy Shield in the kit? Because energetic hygiene is extremely important for different reasons. Please stay with me. One reason is I told you that about the miasms that Samuel Hahnemann was talking about. Those are sometimes the darkening of your auric field that can be even photographed, or some energy workers, when they scan you, Reiki practitioners can sense it. And sometimes it's not, sometimes it's from the other lifetime, sometimes it's from our ancestors, sometimes it's something temporary. So cleansing your auric field is extremely important. So when you do it regularly, you help to purify, to help rebalance your energetic flow of chi, of prana on your body, but also ward off any spirits or any negative energy that is entering your auric field. From now on, I want you to think about your personal space, your aura, which actually extends to the length of your extended arms, as your personal space that you want to keep clean. And you also want to a contact with your ancestors as spirits, and you welcome their guidance and support, but you don't want them, and they can do it. Actually, you probably have heard that some spirits, some entities, negative energy, hexes, spells, whatever, they can penetrate, they can hit your energetic body around you, and they can stay there. And because they are there, they are causing all sorts of uncomfortable experiences, and sometimes they can really press on you, like physically. You can experience that on a physical level. You can be fatigued, you can have extreme tension, you can have anxiety. And sometimes ancestors think that they're doing us best by interfering, but most of the time they don't. First of all, yes, it's emotional and physical discomfort, but it's also sometimes blocking you from doing certain things. Allow me to share a quick example. Last month, I was recording my course called The Path of the Green Witch. And I called it this way specifically because I had a problem with the word witch that was stirring even my fears and the fears of my ancestors. So generations of women in my family were suppressing their gifts, the gifts of intuition, the gifts of this knowledge of psychic abilities, because it wasn't safe. And I know at least 3 generations of my ancestors went through that, and they think it's not safe for me to come out into the world and say, you know what, I have the psychic abilities. I can, sense your energy. I can sense the energy of the plants and animals. I can talk to plants. Because even a couple of years ago, I may be thought of as complete cuckoo, Because what is it? This is not scientific method. What is the energy? What are the spirits? What are you talking about? And allow me to remind you, I came from Russia. My roots are Russian roots. And in Soviet Union, basically the whole 20th century, uh, there were certain taboos. And yes, the big emphasis was put on science, of course. Art was rediscovered. The feminine sexuality had been devalued, and the equality of genders had been expressed as kind of some sort of like, I don't know, desexualized women. Everything was hiding the female body. Movements and sensual dance was not allowed, and religion and spirituality had been banned. So of course my great grandmother, my grandmother, and even my mom suffered a lot from these certain limitations of what they can do with the profession, but also expression, how they can be and what they can practice. And medicine women were in hiding. They were secret, not societies, but there were some healers, but they mostly were hiding. And it was all done under the table. So this type of memories really hurt me last month. And I'm still working on this now. It's a little bit better, and I had to set the boundaries with my ancestors, saying thank you. I really appreciate your care and your fear for me. And they literally grab on me and and hold my throat. Don't say that. It's not safe for you. You will be persecuted. You can be punished. They will take everything from you. You have to hide. Be quiet. And even if you do it, just like don't advertise it. Don't say it out loud. And this is just a quick example of my personal family experience. And there are other ancestral trauma that I am working on. And I am recording this video today on Halloween and on sewing, on the Day of the Dead that is going to be tomorrow. And this is the time when the veil is thin. And this is up to you, believe it or not. But I find it fascinating that different cultures around the world pick the same day, the same time frame to commemorate their ancestors. And I invite you to keep an open mind, an open heart, and just believe their wisdom, because they knew that now is the time to talk to spirits. Now it's time to talk to your ancestors. Now it's the best time to do ancestral work. So I would say from mid-October until end of November, it's an incredible time for ancestral healing. And believe me, if you do it every year in that specific time, you will find more and more, like deeper and deeper levels of working with ancestors. And you can do it just in that time frame, but also you can, if you feel encouraged, you can continue this beautiful work throughout the year. You don't have to limit it to October or November. As I said, it's a process. And the more you learn, the more you understand, the more you remember your ancestors, the more fulfilled your life become. Because our ancestors give us incredible support and wisdom and power of our ancestral family tree. But it only can be accessed when we also heal this trauma and heal the pain, suffering, and unbury all these buried skeletons and really set free our family history and start anew. I hope it is helpful for you, and I encourage you to look at other videos that I record for you on the topic of ancestral healing and energy work and shadow work. Thank you. Have a blessed day.